Life unfolds not in straight lines, but in spirals, returning us to similar places with deeper awareness. For Swiss psychiatrist Carl Jung, the human journey was not merely a path of progress, but a process of becoming whole. He called this process individuation, the psychological integration of the conscious and unconscious self. It is through this lens that we can begin to identify the signs that the best stage of life is about to begin. These signs do not always look like triumph or celebration. Sometimes they appear as disorientation, emotional intensity, or a quiet inner pull. Drawing from Jung's teachings, this essay explores the often overlooked signals that transformation is near, that you are not falling apart, but rather falling into place. These are the signs that you are awakening into a fuller version of yourself, one ready to step into the most meaningful, fulfilling stage of your life. 1. You begin to confront your shadow. Carl Jung believed that the human psyche is composed of both conscious and unconscious elements, and the unconscious often houses what he termed the shadow. This shadow isn't inherently evil or negative, but it contains parts of ourselves we've disowned: fear, rage, selfishness, jealousy, and vulnerability. It's everything we've learned to suppress to fit into society or be accepted. One of the most profound signs that you are nearing the best stage of your life is that you can no longer run from this shadow. It begins to leak out, in your dreams, in your relationships, in unexplained moods or reactive behaviors. For the first time, you may feel ready to explore what you've buried. You ask hard questions. Why do I sabotage myself? Why do I fear intimacy? Why do I pretend to be okay when I'm not? This stage is painful. It can feel like an unraveling. But Jung teaches that the purpose of making the shadow conscious is not to judge it, but to integrate it. When you bring awareness to your hidden parts, you reclaim lost energy and potential. You stop being a fragmented self and start becoming whole. That's why this process, as dark as it may seem, often precedes a major personal rebirth. 2. Old roles and identities no longer fit. The second major sign of entering a new life phase is the crumbling of the old self. The persona that Jung described as the mask we wear to navigate society. At one point, this mask helped you succeed or be accepted. The achiever, the caretaker, the rebel, the perfectionist. But now, it feels tight, artificial, suffocating. You may find yourself disengaged from what once defined you, your career, your social status, your belief system. Things that used to bring validation may now feel empty. This disillusionment isn't depression, it's awakening. You're no longer content to live according to external scripts, and yet the transition can be frightening. If you're not who you were, then who are you? This in-between identity crisis is a sacred pause. Jung saw it as a breakdown of ego to make way for the emergence of the self, the deep, authentic core of your being. The willingness to outgrow your former identity is an act of courage. It signals that you're preparing not just to survive, but to live fully, from your truth, not your conditioning. 3. Synchronicities multiply. Jung introduced the concept of synchronicity to describe those uncanny coincidences that seem orchestrated by the universe itself. Events that are meaningfully connected, though not causally related. When you are aligning with your deeper path, synchronicities start to cluster around you. You may think of someone, only to receive a call from them. A book may fall off the shelf that speaks directly to your soul. A phrase, symbol, or image may repeat itself in different contexts, pulling your attention like a thread through the maze. To Jung, synchronicity is a reflection that your inner world is in dialogue with the outer world. These moments reveal that you are no longer disconnected. You are dancing with life, participating in a deeper pattern. When synchronicities become frequent, pay attention. You're being guided, not by logic, but by soul. And the more you trust these nudges, the more they will appear. It's a sign that you're in alignment with your true unfolding. 4. A deep inner calling emerges. As the dust of ego breakdown begins to settle, something quiet but persistent begins to emerge. A sense of calling. This isn't about chasing external success, fame, or validation. It's something older, more archetypal, and deeply personal. You may not be able to articulate it at first, but you feel it. A pull towards something that feels true, even if it's unclear or unconventional. Carl Jung believed that each individual carries an inner blueprint, what he called the self, a totality that includes both conscious and unconscious elements of your being. The closer you move toward that self, the more you feel a magnetic draw to purpose. This calling could be artistic, spiritual, intellectual, or relational, but it always feels like coming home. You may notice yourself drawn to things you once ignored. Ancient stories, symbols, dreams, spiritual practices, nature, creativity. These aren't distractions. They are whispers from the soul, calling you back into alignment. The best phase of your life begins when you stop resisting this pull and start honoring it, even if it means breaking old rules or walking alone for a while. What matters is not how clear the path is, but that you're willing to follow the thread. As Jung said, the privilege of a lifetime is to become who you truly are. The call is the beginning of that privilege. 5. You embrace solitude, not isolation. In our hyper-connected world, solitude can feel uncomfortable, even dangerous. But Jung was a fierce advocate of solitude, not as withdrawal but as sacred space. During his own midlife transformation, Jung retreated into nature, built a tower by Lake Zurich, and spent long hours drawing, reflecting, and engaging with the unconscious through dream work and active imagination. When you're on the verge of entering the best stage of your life, solitude becomes not just tolerable, it becomes necessary. You begin to seek silence not to escape life, but to hear your own soul. You crave moments of stillness, long walks without distraction, and unhurried time for inner exploration. This is not isolation. You still love others. You still show up in the world. But you also begin to differentiate, to live from the inside out, not the outside in. You realize that being alone doesn't mean being lonely, it means being rooted. This sacred solitude becomes the soil in which your future self begins to grow. In these quiet spaces, your intuition strengthens. Your vision clarifies. You become less influenced by external noise and more in tune with what truly matters to you. That's a profound sign that your life is about to blossom in a way that is fully your own. 6. You feel both lost and liberated. There comes a moment, often after letting go of old roles, beliefs, and people, when you feel utterly lost. Nothing feels solid. You're not who you were, and you're not yet who you will become. Jung called this the night sea journey, a descent into the unconscious, where the ego is dissolved and the deeper self is encountered. It's frightening. You may feel adrift, uncertain, or invisible, but paradoxically, this is also where you feel most free. Without the old rules, you are no longer bound. You begin to see with fresh eyes. You discover new instincts, curiosities, and capacities that were buried under layers of expectation. This space, though often painful, is sacred. It's the cocoon before flight, the womb before birth. Jung believed that real transformation doesn't come through willpower or planning. It comes through surrender. When you stop trying to fix yourself or rush the process, you begin to evolve organically. You no longer need to figure it all out. You start trusting life's rhythm. That trust, that surrender, that feeling of floating in uncertainty, that's the portal to your most powerful and creative self. It's a sure sign that you're not lost, you're becoming. 7. You start living symbolically. To Jung, the unconscious communicates in symbols, images that hold layers of meaning and emotion. Whether through dreams, myths, or metaphors, the soul speaks in stories. When you are entering the best stage of your life, you begin to perceive reality differently. The world becomes alive with symbolic meaning. You begin to pay attention to dreams, not as random events, but as messages. You feel moved by art, poetry, nature, and music in ways that words can't explain. A bird landing on your windowsill may feel significant. A sudden storm may feel like a metaphor. Your life starts to feel like a story, and you begin to see yourself not as a passive character, but as the author. This is not magical thinking, it's soulful perception. Jung believed that symbolic living connects you to the archetypal layer of life, a deeper dimension where everything is connected. When you live this way, even suffering becomes meaningful. Even loss can birth growth. Even endings can become beginnings. Living symbolically allows you to experience life with depth, creativity, and presence. You are no longer merely surviving. You are participating in the mystery of your own unfolding. This is the essence of the best stage of life, not perfection, but meaningful engagement. Conclusion. The best stage of your life doesn't arrive on schedule. It often sneaks in when you least expect it, through confusion, loss, awakening, or desire. Carl Jung's insights remind us that true transformation isn't linear, glamorous, or painless. It is soul deep. It asks us to die to the false self so we can be reborn into something real. You may feel lost. You may feel strange. You may feel like nothing fits anymore. But underneath all that discomfort is the call of wholeness. When you listen to your dreams, honor your solitude, embrace your shadow, and follow your symbolic path, you are not breaking down. You are breaking through. This is how you know, not by external success or validation, but by the deep inner recognition that you are no longer hiding, pretending, or settling. You are becoming, and that, more than anything, is the sign that your most meaningful, powerful, and alive chapter is just beginning.